Tell us when we've officially begun. Terrence. Let's get you a triangle.
All right. You'll know I've officially begun once I say, brothers and sisters, open your Bibles to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4:13.
What? True love is blind.
It's his Sunday. When I was coming out of the creek this morning, I passed the church down below my house, and the preacher was walking down the steps of his parsonage.
Parsonages?
What's it called?
That's right. The preacher's house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like a 16th century, like...
No, I mean, around here, if you take a church...
Roll in the church.
He was coming down the steps, walking across the street to the church with his Bible in hand.
What do you think is the easiest... What's the most low-hanging fruit sermon? To me, it's...
Easter, gotta be.
Well, okay, aside from Easter and Christmas, aside from the Christian high holidays...
Okay.
What is the most low-hanging sermon? For me, it is 1 Thessalonians 4:13, or anything that anything about signs and wonders. There's all kinds.
Is 1 Thessalonians what they use to justify the idea of the rapture, even though it's not explicitly? I thought that's right.
That is exactly right. Jesus is coming, fully robed. He'll sweep all of us up. It is about you got to hand it to Christians. They really are patient. Like, if you've been preaching for about 2,000 years about the coming kingdom of God, and you're still preaching about it, like...
By patient, you mean rubes.
There's another word for it, yeah.
They're Bernie Sanders level consistent.
Well, I mean, ain't it Austin 3:16? John 3.
Yeah,
John
yeah.
3:16.
Yeah, Austin 3:16. Don't trust anybody.
It's John 3:16. That's when they're mailing it in.
You're right.
I remember preaching John 3:16.
Yeah, that is the most. I slept in this morning, and I've got to pull something out of my back pocket.
It's like their John 3:16 is our equivalent of like church episodes. It's like when the content wells run dry, it's where we just go there.
Exactly. I am wearing my Let's Summon Demons t-shirt today, though.
Yeah?
That's good. I think that I am rejecting paganism. I'm going to...
Already. That was a short-lived.
Yeah, that was a short little phase I had. I am embracing a new kind of Christianity, like a mystical, maybe kind of Gnosticism. Like Jesus was a ghost who like wandered the earth and like had a wife and fucked.
This is because,
Jesus fucked.
Well, this is okay. What's the movie? There's a movie.
The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yes, you're essentially subscribing to that Christianity.
Isn't that what National Treasure is about too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrence just has to be an expert in his religion, and he don't have time to become an expert in paganism. He's quickly seen he has to come back to Christianity where he has earned his due. Goddamn,
too much going on in paganism to learn all the new tricks.
Sure, I looked at it at the Vista. It's just too much work. Just centralize it into one God.
Last time he said hundreds of gods.
Right.
Hey, speaking of paganism, let me show you something, Tanya. 1 second.
I'm a Donatist.
Let's play show and tell.
I'm a Donatist Christian.
What's that?
It means I did not schism. I didn't break away from the early church in the 300s AD after persecution.
Have y'all ever read this?
No.
Daniel Cohen curses, hexes, and spells.
Yeah, so it was a children's witchcraft book. It's like always on the banned books list.
Oh, nice.
And it's on the banned books list for like stuff like this. Hold on a second. Let's see what kind of spells we got.
Tell me there's one for using menstrual blood.
I mean, there's kind of wild shit in here. Hold on a second. Let's see. We could talk about accursed places.
Oh, really?
The Bermuda Triangles features heavily in here.
Mm.
But here, let's get to the good part where they teach kids how to do spells.
Hell yeah.
With pictures.
Oh, nice.
Tom. You're frozen.
From Missouri.
Damn.
Nice.
We're on that high-tech bandwidth out here.
That's right.
Faith and grit.
All right, Tom's back.
Okay. This is Yvonne of the School of Wicca in Salem, Missouri, not Massachusetts, surprisingly. And she demonstrates a cross not my path spell designed to get rid of the unwanted attention of others. So
Nice.
very useful
Amazing.
stuff here. I'll bring it home
Yeah.
next time I come in.
Okay, please do. We'll make some
Well-
copies.
We'll give them a whirl, see if they work.
What kind of attention? Like negative attention, or like you're just having to beat the, the pussy back because you're
Yeah, I'm sure it's that one.
that kind
So-
of. Is it a
so-
curse against that kind of attention?
I think it's any kind of unwanted attention. So.
One of the girls rock bands wrote a song called Pluto, and the chorus was, "I'm independent like Pluto. I just want you out of my hair." So fucking good.
I'll deliver a copy to the girls' rock camp next.
Pluto is doing its own thing out there.
Yeah, Pluto's to be revered.
I was telling.
Oh, like the planet.
The planet Pluto. But
Not
what do you
the-
think? The cartoon animal?
not the cartoon dog.
The cartoon dog.
I thought they were saying because Pluto didn't have a wife; he was a single father.
God damn.
But what you say makes more sense.
Pluto was a men's rights guy. Is that what you're saying? Like a
Yeah.
divorce court dad?
Divorce court dad. Fuck.
Have you seen this? This is a pretty strong movement in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah. There've been people protesting outside our courthouse the last couple weeks.
The reason why though is it is actually what they're protesting is actually an injustice.
Yeah, it's
A sex offender was like
concerning.
slapped on the wrist with like
90
days community service or something.
Yeah.
And
Oh, in Whitesburg.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean,
What was it? Was it the teacher dude?
No. Hopefully they'll throw the book at his dumb ass.
no,
Yeah.
it was some other guy.
Some rando.
Anyways, I was telling Tanya that I subscribe to the Appian heresy, Tom. I believe that Jesus was the son of the Father rather than the same of the same substance.
Interesting.
What are your thoughts on this?
So we lost service for like 2 seconds, and that's where you went to.
I don't
In
know.
that time frame.
I didn't follow. I'm as lost as you, Tom.
Let me ask y'all a question. Do I look like Veruca Salt in this to y'all, or is that just the way my camera is?
Veruca Salt.
Like
is that a band?
my face looks like blue almost.
No, you look pretty red here, like you've been on the bottle.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. You've got rosacea.
Anyway,
This week, so for the listeners, this week we have Brother Tom Sexton on the horn, who are interviewing for his latest treatise on the Thessalonian Scriptures.
Paul's letter to the Thessalonians.
Tell him what he's won.
How's it going, Tom?
It's going good down here. This is the first time we've ever done this orientation.
This is brand new for us.
How's Sally adjusting?
She's good. She's got a fenced-in yard, a dog park to go to. So she's.
Yesterday we had our 1 day a year dog park in Jenkins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the pool party where right before they drain the Jenkins pool, they have a dog party and let all the dogs come and swim.
Sweet Lou love it.
He did. He loved it. There were a couple aggressive German shepherds that were like raining on everybody's parade, but once
Damn.
they got gone, it was a good time.
Cops.
Right.
Yeah, fucking cop dogs. They had their
Yeah.
ears clipped up too.
Oh,
The
fuck.
worst. They tried to take on a Great Dane. And I was like, honey, you gonna keep on? That Great Dane's gonna eat you alive. They were only coming for the big dogs.
Right.
As they do.
As they usually do.
As
Yeah.
they usually do.
But it was very cute and sweet. But I was telling Terrence I was rudely rewarded this morning.
Yeah, what happened?
yeah?
How was your morning? What happened this morning?
Well, I woke up to pee on my leg. Louis peed the bed.
Does that happen a lot?
Never. It's never happened.
Why do you think? What did it?
I have no idea. Well, it was wet. It wasn't immediately clear that it was urine, but I don't know. Maybe he was dreaming about being in the pool. I don't know. It's like we took him to the fucking pool party, and this morning he usually sleeps at the foot of the bed, but occasionally he'll like inch up all night long, and by morning I'm either spooning him or he's in between us.
Yeah,
spooning me. And this morning he was spooning me, and it was wet. He had peed for sure. So I overreacted, of course. Michelle got pissed.
Pissed at you?
Yeah, so I was pissed on. She was pissed off at me. How did this happen? I didn't piss the bed. I was so mad. This morning I was so mad. She had already been up and like around, so she didn't like. As soon as I woke up, I was peed on. So of course I overreacted.
Well, as somebody who's peed the bed a few times himself, under the influence of alcohol and not, it's something you have to have a strong support system to work there.
Well, he didn't know or care.
He's just like, I don't know.
But I got up and she started stripping the bed, and I was just like, rah, I was so pissed. Anyway, lesbians fighting is just someone washing dishes really loudly while the other one sulks.
Which end were you on?
I was sulking.
Okay.
Sulking and piss.
Nice.
He's 75 pounds. He can lay a stream.
You don't think he knew? I bet he knew. I bet he's embarrassed.
He knew he peed the bed? I think he did it in his sleep. He has vivid dreams. He runs in his sleep. He laughs.
Well, look, just be easy on him, Tanya. He didn't mean to do that.
I went and got in the other bed, and he had the audacity to come get in the bed with me.
Because he felt bad.
The fucking audacity.
He felt bad.
He's probably trying to make you think Michelle was the one that peed the bed.
Yeah. Like, hey, that's fucked up,
Can you
huh?
believe what she did?
That was me, you going here, huh?
I like that theory.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm here. I'm pissed on, not pissed off.
Is that so that's the extent of your drama this morning?
Yeah, I've only been awake an hour, so.
Same here.
Hey, the night's young.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I went and saw It 2 last night. And so it was an interesting experience. But I have to say that Hollywood is deeply diseased.
Yeah. He texted me, asked if I wanted to go, and I literally did laugh out loud. I started laughing. I threw my head back at the thought that you thought I was going to watch it.
I loved it. I loved the first It reboot.
Oh, dude, look.
No. My sister and cousins all went, and I stayed home alone while they all went and saw the reboot. It was recent. It was like last year, whatever, the year before that.
You could have seen this. It wasn't even like a horror movie.
I'm not into clowns. The whole thing. I can't.
Check this out, though. And so I'm going to give some spoilers away, and I know for those who go absolutely fucking batshit mad because we give some spoilers away.
Because you don't put spoilers in the description.
That's what I'm doing right now. So if you don't want a spoiler for this stupid fucking movie, fast forward about 3 minutes.
Are we going to spend 3 minutes on this?
Maybe not even that long. But there's a few things I want to say about this movie. First of all, it is 2.5 hours long.
No way.
I'm not fucking kidding.
How do you squeeze that much mileage out of it?
Seriously, no horror movie should ever be over an hour and a half.
Never.
90 minutes, that's it. Unless it's The Shining, which is like not even really a horror movie. It's kind of something in between.
Hereditary was like 2, wasn't it?
Yeah. But even then, that's not even really like for this kind of movie, like a jump out and scare you kind of movie, like hour and a half, make it 90 minutes.
Did they drag it out for an hour? Did nothing happen for an hour?
Yes, and here's why. Here's why.
I would have demanded my money back.
They are now doing with the Stephen King universe what they've been doing with the Marvel universe, and you can tell, because they're doing this new Shining now too.
Yeah, it's Doctor or whatever it is.
Yeah, and so various Stephen King characters showed up in this movie.
Oh,
I'm telling you, and it's like they've become these large bloated like star vehicles, sort of like the Marvel universe.
Who showed up?
you know, like here's Johnny, you know, in The Shining, and other.
Wait. So they crossed universes?
Yes, and they're doing that. Like, yeah, they're I think they're trying to do like a Marvel universe thing with the Stephen King universe now to squeeze as much money. Oh, dude, I'm telling you, it's so fucking brutal.
That sounds terrible.
It's so brutal. But here's the thing that killed me, and this is why this is the big spoiler. This is the funniest part. So hopefully you're not still listening. But at the end, I'm telling you this. At the end, you know, when they're like fighting Pennywise the clown, you know, and like their way of fighting him is like, you're just a clown, you're a bully, you're a clown. Like they I don't know, it's this like
basically doing what the Democrats do to Mitch McConnell.
Dude, check this out.
Sold.
Oh, check this out. Like, while they're doing this, Pennywise is like shrinking and getting smaller and smaller, and there's a split second where his hair looks like Donald Trump's. It's like
oh god, they probably thought that was the slickest thing.
Yes, they're supposed. Yes, that's exactly right. They were like, we're telling him he's a bully and he's a clown. They did the dangerous Donald thing as the climax of this fucking movie.
Oh my god.
That's how they defeated Pennywise?
That's how they defeated him.
Amazing.
I'm just telling you this because
they spoke truth to power. To fucking Pennywise.
That's exactly it.
God damn, that's bleak.
Yeah. Oh, it's I bet. No, I'm telling you, like, movies are just getting. They're just these multi-million-dollar affairs with 8 fucking stars in them. You know what I mean? Like, this.
Well, they had the Skarsgård brother that plays Pennywise, and he does a good job. Yeah.
I will say that he does an excellent job. He was the best one in the movie. Otherwise, you've got Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Hader, who is usually good, but in this,
I like Bill Hader.
Yeah, in this he was pretty like they didn't use him to his best potential. I don't know.
The kid from Stranger Things, right?
Yeah, the kid from Stranger Things.
Oh, which one?
The one, I don't know. He's got glasses.
Finn Wolfhard.
I've never seen the Stranger Things.
Oh, you didn't watch Stranger Things?
I've never seen the Stranger Things.
God damn.
Anyways.
Speaking of Moscow Mitch, I saw a picture this week of a Backstreet Boy in a Moscow Mitch
No,
shirt.
it was Lance Bass.
Yeah,
so in sync.
Oh yeah, okay. That's why I couldn't find it again. I tried to find it again to show it to you guys. I was like, Michelle, who's the Backstreet Boy from Kentucky? And she was like, there's 2 of them. And she told me both their names, and I looked them both up, and it was neither one of them. And I was like, damn it, I don't know what happened. I thought it was definitely a Backstreet Boy.
I went to high school with Brian Littrell's cousin from Backstreet Boys, and the big thing she did was when he got married, she came to school waving her big fancy invitation around. Clout sharks were around even in the early odds.
She brought it to school.
That's hilarious.
Oh fuck, I love it.
Well, the 98 Degrees guys from East Kentucky.
Harlan County, yeah.
Well, both of those Backstreet Boys are from Estill County. They went to Estill County High School, but they claim they're from Lexington. Assholes.
They're doing the opposite of what the All-Stars are doing.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, I don't.
Well, it's only been cool. I mean, we've talked about this. It's only been cool to be from Eastern Kentucky like the last 8 years or so. Before that, not even that. 5. Let's give them 5 years. Before that, anybody from Lexington was really said they were from Cincinnati.
The funniest thing is meeting someone from Lexington. Not even that. Maybe someone from like Columbus, Ohio, who's like great grandparents lived in Eastern Kentucky, and they're like, "Oh, I've been trying to make my way back here. I've been
for generations.
These are my people."
Yeah. I met a woman at a watershed camp that was like that, and she was like, so I've lived in Texas and Arizona and Florida most of my life, but Eastern Kentucky's always going to be home. And upon further inquiry, she had never lived here at all. It was just her ancestral homeland.
You think they get a lot of that at Plymouth Rock? People just like, oh, this is truly this is my home.
Absolutely. So, wait, where were we going with that? Nick Lachey, 98 Degrees.
We were talking about how a Tribally's t-shirt is way better than a Moscow Mitch t-shirt.
Way better.
I mean, it really is. Let's send
one to Lance Bass.
Did y'all
that's
see
right.
where that motherfucker, like, GOP Jake, like, took out a section of our episode and was, like,
Oh, yeah,
putting
I
it
saw
on
that.
Twitter?
What happened?
This, like, GOP guy, like, this, like, Republican Kentucky guy, just the worst piece of shit ever.
Yeah, they mine our criticisms of Amy McGrath and try to utilize them against her. It's funny.
Well, I said,
Really?
eat shit, Jake, and he said, thanks for the content, bro.
What? Wait, no, tell me what happened.
He posted the part of our episode where we were talking about the miners coming to Apple Shop.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, eat shit. And he said, thanks for the content, bro.
And he's like a Kentucky GOPer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just a
Yeah.
piece of shit.
Yeah, like just these dipshits that probably work for Mitch McConnell or whatever.
Probably the
Yeah.
reason why I'm going to have Homeland Security bugging my house.
That's right. Well, it's funny they have to mine the communists for content, though.
That's true.
Amazing.
That is true.
That should tell the Democratic Party something.
Yeah.
Well, I have people all the time who I think definitely don't listen to Tribbillies, but have like heard I'm on a podcast and they're like, "Yeah, I'm so proud of you. Glad you're out there coming for the Republicans." And I'm like, "Well, I want to say we really don't discuss the Republicans often, honestly."
That is true.
That should just be a given. Now you have to be a pretty egregious, like what's the dude that gave the speech? You know, we talked about.
You know, the
been a lot
guy
of
with the
dudes
hair, he
who
said
have
the
given
thing, he stood in the place.
No, the guy. I
Jesus
forget
Christ.
his name now. He was like, I think he's from Hawley.
Holly.
Like-
Josh Hawley.
Oh, yeah. The conservative
Right.
nationalism, whatever
Right.
guy. What about him?
Right. I mean, like to get any Trillbillies content, you have to be like that bad because it should be assumed that these guys
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
need to be stuck in a wood chipper.
Yeah, these are wiffle balls.
Yeah, like I can't, to me it's too close to home. You know, as having a family that's really conservative, I just can't really like dive back into it. But
It's trauma.
yeah,
It's
good on those who
traumatizing.
can, you know, it's useful,
Right.
I guess.
All right.
We find it easier to come for our own.
Yeah. And we say own in the loosest sense of the word.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the right, I went over to the cold blockade yesterday again, to drop off some more shit.
What's the latest on that, by the way? They hear anything from the judge yet, or
No, so they postponed it another week. Apparently, it takes another week to decide what to do with Black
And this
Joe's
is still
assets.
bankruptcy court, right?
Oh yeah, this is still bankruptcy court.
amazing?
But it was, you know, the legal proceedings are. There's a reason I don't work at a legal nonprofit anymore. I don't fucking care. So I don't know. That kind of stuff is over my head. But it was weird yesterday. It was very weird because a large Winnebago, a massive Winnebago showed up.
Oh my god!
With
On Saturdays, yeah, that's the biggest tourist day.
yeah, a massive Winnebago showed up, and 3 guys hopped out. One of them was like a skinhead, like he had shaved his head and had a beard, but they were all tatted up, packing heat, and had 3%er tattoos.
Woo!
So these guys are obviously wealthy, and they're from Maryland, and I kind of kept my distance. I wasn't really like trying to mix company with them. But they dropped off so much food, it was insane. Like, we spent probably 30 minutes forming a chain and moving all the food into a...
Food that'll keep?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it really fucked with me because it just goes to show you that we sort of abandon the working class at our peril, you know? Because, like, these right-wingers are really... Like, I was thinking about this, like, Chapo had an episode, I think, a week ago about, like, bikers for Trump and truckers for Trump.
Yeah.
And like, a lot of these guys are sort of wealthier people, right? They're sort of upper middle class.
Right.
Harley Davidson dealership owners or whatever. But
Weekend warrior guys.
Right. But they've adopted all the aesthetics and language and sort of cultural trappings of the working class.
Yeah.
And so they're making like attempts to, I don't know, build sort of cross-class solidarity with the working class. And it's pretty bleak. And so, like I was saying, we kind of, if we cede those spaces, or if we just abandon them altogether, like the right wing will absolutely sweep in there.
Well, I mean, we've also talked about a whole lot of liberals driving down from Louisville and Cincinnati to sit over there and bring shit.
Totally.
That's not the only people over there, but
yeah,
these people make me so uncomfortable. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Well, and also just the cultural markers, I think, that these sort of like yuppies have adopted to, like, it reminds me of several years ago, maybe like even like 10 years ago or something. I was in contact because I was doing this writing project on outlaw motorcycle gangs. This is right post Sons of Anarchy, and I got kind of interested in it. And the guys that I got introduced to weren't like, I got into this life when I was out of high school and had these like rough and tumble stories. One of them had been the founder of Chegg.com. It was like one of those like
what?
One of them, a Hell's Angel in England I talked to was a literature professor at Oxford. And so what happens is these guys get bored of living a square life or or need something to, cosplay as on the weekends, and so they do this shit. And it sounds like it's the same case with these 3%er guys.
Absolutely.
They adopt all these aesthetics, but let's call it what it is. If you're a working person, you're not going to float a Winnebago in Eastern Kentucky. In fact, the only people I've ever seen bring a Winnebago in Eastern Kentucky had about 300 fighting chickens on it. They were going to the Derby. Getting out at from Louisville and got them fucking Liberace rings on and shit.
Yeah. No, they're bourgeois. They're petty bourgeois. Yeah, I don't know.
Did they stay the night?
I don't know.
You left while they were still there?
Yeah, I had to go see it. I had to go see it, too. The paean to liberal resistance.
Yeah, we got these guys showing up loving guns to build solidarity with people that also love guns. And our response is we're just going to talk about how the right are bullies.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like you need to just up and become a gun nut all of a sudden or anything, but,
Well, it just goes to show you how divorced a lot of the left has become from the working class.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if it's that hard for us to sort of, like, build solidarity with them, it just kind of goes to show you that, like, we're not working class people,
Right.
We are also petty bourgeois, managerial, professional types. I don't know. Maybe we were. I guess I'm unemployed now.
Yeah, you don't have to carry that cross anymore.
Although I like Ambria Taylor's take on this from Season of the Bit. She was like, it's amazing to me that leftist organizers think that they, even among all their debt, think that they're not working class because they have a bunch of tchotchkes at home.
That's
They've
true.
like I got some whatnots. Not to say I will never come out of debt in my life.
No.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, speaking of petty bourgeois, who wants to take a journey with me to App Harvest?
I'd love to go to
Right.
App Harvest.
No, this is. I mean, I maintain that we should keep our DMs or our group message top tier Patreon premium. But I love when Tom's like, "Shoot me the link," and Terrence says, "No." We're gonna hold it for the podcast. Teases him.
Yeah, he likes to get those organic reactions.
Yeah. I like to dangle that in front of your face.
Yeah, he calls it podcast science.
That's right. So, all right. So there was an article in the Wall Street Journal a few days ago.
This is so depressing. It's just really hard for me to revisit, especially after all the SOAR money.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. So much has happened this week that's so bleak.
Hal has been on, they've all been on one.
They really have. Your article couldn't come out at a more relevant time.
That's true.
I would just like to throw something out there real quick, too, though. Has anybody, paid attention to the paltry sums of money they've been throwing out there, though?
It's pretty small.
I mean, granted, it's more than the Amazon's getting.
Right.
But still, they're talking, we're going to invest this for water infrastructure, and that wouldn't even, get Whitesburg's problems nipped in the bud.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Much less.
But to the uninitiated, you're like, oh, that sounds like a lot of money. Hell yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, just to say, we can get into this later, but the same equation that you set up in the article about the power money, it's the exact, you can run this money through the same equation. That none of it is going to lead to any organizing of any people.
Right.
And it can barely even be called harm reduction.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting a fucking shooting range. Like a neo-Nazi picnic dog park.
That's what those Maryland guys in the Winnebago were here for.
They heard we were getting that shooting range. They were coming to visit.
Yeah. No, so they got a lot of money from the Abandoned Mine Lands Fund for Martin County Water. But then they've also, they're pouring money into a shooting range, just basically into recreational stuff and tourism stuff. But the App Harvest stuff is a little bit different. The App Harvest thing comes from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, right. It's different, of course, because it's not government funded.
Right.
But I'm talking about all this SOAR shit that dropped this week, too.
Yeah.
Has been so hard to reckon with. And I do think we should say on the podcast that, the same fucking day that your Baffler article dropped online, the city posted, the city of Whitesburg. We have to tell this.
I like to think Terrence gave him a little kick in the pants.
The day it dropped, hours later, the city posted pictures of people in there sweeping and said, renovation is underway of the Daniel Boone Motel. People in there sweeping with masks on. I swear to Christ, I have never seen anything. Me and Michelle we just sat on the couch just staring at each other like this was another realm of reality we could not comprehend.
It is hilarious.
It cannot be coincidence. It cannot.
No, they were subtweeting me. Did you see that?
Not the city of Whitesburg.
Not the city of Whitesburg, but
other people were. Yeah.
And
sure.
so it makes me think that there was other people were like, it's much easier to tear down than it is to build up.
Let me just tell this motherfucker something. The reason
it's so easy to be. Is it?
The reason that project got held up is because fucking. There's not any time to go into it, but they've had that money floating around there theoretically for several years.
Years. And what they're showing off is sweeping. They're in there sweeping.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
I spent a few days where I was like, oh fuck, they're gonna build this thing and I'm gonna look like a dumbass.
No, even if they build it now, which I don't believe,
it'll never happen.
No.
They're going to run out of money eventually.
But this has been so ingrained in my heart this week that Michelle was she's trying to schedule Girls Rock meetups and jams in the Boone building once a month. And she goes, when's the Boone grand opening? And she was talking about how they're going to do a grand opening for the safe space. And I said, never. They're not opening that hotel. And she just looked at me. She was like, no, the Boone building. I'm like, oh, fuck, sorry. I'm totally out of
everything around here has Boone on it,
yeah,
though. So.
Yeah. I was like, never. What are you talking about? They're not opening that. They're not going to reopen that hotel.
Yeah, and what'll end up happening with that hotel is it'll be something, just like everything else in Eastern Kentucky. You'll get a bunch of money for it. There won't be any sort of community plan to put resources into the upkeep and keeping it running. And ultimately it'll get turned into something weird, they'll turn into one of those fucking storage centers. You know what I mean?
You just
the hotel rooms will be where you take your stuff to store it and pay $17.
Oh my God. You just can't convince me that they're ever going to get enough money to actually turn that building, which should be torn down, into a hotel.
Also, it should be said, the whole premise for building that thing was because they thought they had outside investment from one of those Louisville gajillionaires.
Right.
And then that didn't end up happening for whatever reason. But yeah.
Well, because the problem, this is what sends me over the edge about entrepreneurialism bullshit and like market fixes and shit, which I barely even understand. But it's just like fixing that building and running a hotel there will never pay for itself. That's never going to recoup any costs. It's not a venture. There's no way to invest in this to where it eventually pays for itself. Never. You could run that hotel with 50 fucking rooms at capacity for 100 years. It wouldn't pay for itself.
Yeah. Well, and that was part of the point. It's like, even by the laws of their own beloved capitalism, their shit would never work.
It doesn't make any sense. They're completely insane.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and I've thought about this for a few days after the article came out, is that a lot of people keep thinking that this is like an expose or something, which is so funny. It's like, that wasn't at all the point. It's not like I'm trying to like blow shit wide open. It's like, it's a commentary on just sort of neoliberalism or a sort of on the evolution of liberalism. But something clicked for me the other day. Someone was asking me like, I really like the essay, but I still don't really understand neoliberalism or what you mean by that, what you're talking about. And it really clicked for me. So, we kind of, as we've sort of established, like, nonprofits sort of exist to manage the contradictions of capitalism, right?
Right.
Nowadays, like, that's kind of this role they serve in the political economy. That role used to be fulfilled by government in the 60s. And this is what I was trying to explain in the article. Like, the war on poverty, the whole point was to manage the contradictions of a capitalist democracy. Well, in the neoliberal era, that role has been privatized and transferred to the nonprofits, the venture capitalists like J.D. Vance, things like SOAR, and stuff like that. And that is a really interesting development because we've basically turned that role of managing capitalism's contradictions itself into a for-profit industry.
Yeah.
Which can't bode well for the future, right?
So many bubbles here.
Exactly.
So many bubbles.
That's exactly what I'm driving at here. It's like, it is just yet another example of how capitalism cannot help but create its own demise. Like, create the seeds of its own demise.
Terrence like Steve Carell leaving the strip club in The Big Short.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so on that same notion, tip, whatever, we have something, a fun little article came out in the Wall Street Journal about App Harvest, which is not, as it sounds, it's not a startup to harvest your soul.
I wish it were. Lord,
here's what you can do. You can borrow against your soul. You're broke in Appalachia, go to App Harvest. You can we can borrow against your soul. If it doesn't work out, we get your soul. It's basically what that would be a good plan.
Oh,
Tom,
yeah.
You could start that with your witchcraft.
I would love that. I would love a soul harvesting. And if someone wants to drop me a quick $97 million to do it, I don't want to hate it.
Look, venture capitalists, fund Tanya's soul harvester.
Please. I'll make it a Vanilla Sky-esque excitement.
Yeah.
Okay, excited. But although I shit you not, when I saw this headline and the picture, because it's just like a scraggly, skinny-looking white dude out in a field.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was Nathan Hall. And I just about shit myself, thinking he had gotten this much money.
From J.D. Vance.
I literally almost died. I was ready to drive to him and slit his throat. I was like, just ready. I was ready to kill him.
Oh no! If it had been Nathan Hall, we just robbed that motherfucker.
Yeah, absolutely take his kneecaps out. When I saw that, I was like, oh god. I mean, don't he? He just looks like every nondescript fucking.
Let me read from the article. Jonathan,
please do.
Oh,
I gotta go to the bathroom. I really do have to pee.
I really do as well. You want to go pee, and then we want to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and.
No, why don't you read that while I'm peeing? Because I just don't want to hear it. I can't.
Jonathan Webb's farm doesn't look like much. Tawny soil stretching to a line of trees, a trailer with a few makeshift desks. But if Mr. Webb gets his way, by mid-2020, the Moorhead, Kentucky property will house a 60-acre greenhouse, the first in a series of multi-acre technology-augmented indoor farms meant to bring jobs to Appalachia and fresh-picked tomatoes to surrounding states.
I mean, well, just pause here. It's a point our buddy Joe Schroeder made, is that, like, hydroponic tomatoes are actually inferior to, like, you can't say they're fresh picked.
Right.
They're like test tube babies of produce. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. Well, this is the thing.
You say a lot of things about it. I'm sure they're okay or whatever, but it's not, you know.
Well, this is the thing. So there is this new kind of tech-centered thing called, like, technology-augmented agriculture.
Yeah.
Where they're experimenting with all these new forms of farming, like vertical farming is one of them. And so my brother got hired. So my brother's a horticulture major, and he got hired by this rich dude to help out on his, like, vertical farming project outside of Las Cruces, in the middle of the fucking desert. They were basically going to try to do vertical farming for tomatoes, which
kind of makes some sense for a place like the desert.
No, I mean, maybe the technology is there or whatever, but the larger point is that, like, just like, you know, we have established time and time again, like, these people will always look for the technologically advanced solutions rather than just looking for the rational fucking solutions, which is you've got maybe break up Monsanto, maybe fucking actually use our farmlands for.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, something like App Harvest can't even really get legs in the era of Monsanto and all this stuff. It's like you're never going to be able to recoup that kind of investment when you're playing second fiddle to these people that already have all these technologies and are doing whatever with them.
Exactly, and that's, again, this goes back to the point of by the rules of their own beloved economic system, like, they cannot compete. And so you've got it's like we were saying, there's a bubble. You've got all this money poured into it, but it's not going to actually return. You're not going to get returns on investment. It's not actually going to, like, scale up to anything.
Yeah, no, totally not. You know what's interesting too is I think the standout line from that article was something like, he has no experience.
Yeah.
I mean, none of this stuff. Let me tell you, y'all know what Jonathan Webb was doing 10 years ago?
Tell me more. Tell me.
So, you know, there's a reason Ramel Bradley, the old UK basketball player, is kind of a partner in this. Him and Jonathan Webb were producing music videos. Like, Jonathan Webb was Ramel Bradley's like in-house producer, like when Ramel was trying to be like a rapper.
Amazing.
That's what they were doing. And I think Jonathan wrote a song for, like, UK football back in, like, 2009 or something that kind of, like, took off in Lexington. I forget what it was, but, like, he was just like some dude that they would go to the bar and, like, play guitar and stuff, you know. Well, make beats on, like, Fruity Loops or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you know what he did after that?
What's that?
He must be from money, because what he did after that was he spent about 10 years working as a subcontractor for the Department of Defense, basically making our nation's military resources green and sustainable with solar technology.
So he's been on this grift for a minute.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, this is a description of him.
God damn.
If we had 500 acres of supply tomorrow, we could sell all of that supply to U.S. grocers, said Mr. Webb, 34, who wears a uniform of dark jeans, a light denim shirt, round glasses, and a Kentucky ball cap. We cannot build fast enough or grow fast enough to meet the demand of grocers or consumers. Mr. Webb's vision is to turn economically distressed eastern Kentucky into the high-tech agriculture capital of the country. He has no prior experience in farming, but he has managed to attract $97 million in project financing and a list of noteworthy partners. Ultimately, he plans to spend $1 billion to $2 billion on greenhouses, even if it takes a decade or two.
So presumably he's invested some of this already in whatever the fuck land or something. But this just sit in his bank account.
I guess. Well, yeah. There's a part in here where it's like lists all the people who gave money to his project. But essentially, yeah, it's just sitting in his bank account, probably.
So J.D. Vance was the big one. Are there any other like notable shitheads that are in on this grift with him?
All right, so App Harvest's financial backers include the Rise of the Rest seed fund at Revolution, the Washington, D.C. investment firm co-founded by AOL co-founder Steve Case and managed by author J.D. Vance. Jeffrey Ubben, founder and chief executive of Value Act Capital Management LP and co-portfolio manager of its Value Act Spring Fund, invested in part because App Harvest is using the changing climate to its advantage. This is the funniest fucking quote ever. The planet is just going to start shutting down businesses all over the place.
The planet? They said the planet's going to start shutting down businesses?
The planet!
Oh,
I thought
the planet's the biggest boss of them all, I guess.
And so the premise of venture capitalism is that these people who've given this money think they're going to get it back.
Yeah.
They think they're getting this back.
They think they're going to get a return on investment.
This is the only part of this that's amusing at all, is that they're definitely not getting that money back.
They're not getting it back, but here's the bleak part. They can afford to not get it back. They can just throw billions of dollars and not get a return on investment, and it'd be totally fine.
I don't think they care that much.
No,
because ultimately, it's the thing is like, oh well, we tried to do it. It's almost cynical. I could see them doing something like, well, we're just going to pour what to us is no skin off our nose amount of money into this, and when it fails, then we can use that to sort of bolster our culture of poverty thesis and take their political project even further to where. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Are these like? Can these be tax write-offs? Like it's invested in a failing business.
Yeah. Totally. I know. I personally know people who have invested in failing businesses just to.
Yes, we all do.
Just to get rid of money.
I've worked for people.
Yes, I was strongly implying.
Yeah.
Now, when they said using the changing climate to its advantage, I thought they meant like changing business climate or like changing economy like coal, but they mean literal climate because they said the planet is just going to start shutting down businesses all over the place.
I like this vision of the planet as just like this manager.
Yeah.
It's just like addict and just like shutting down, like just putting people out of work.
It's Captain Planet, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Captain Planet.
Captain Planet, the venture capitalist.
He's going to start issuing eviction notices. Now there is a Trillbillies cartoon.
No,
I can
totally.
get behind.
Captain Planet, the venture capitalist.
Yeah, maybe that's an episode of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Mr. Webb plans to run. Okay, those that are using the constrained resources less will have the most amazing cost advantage you can imagine, and that is a return. It makes no sense. Mr. Webb plans to run the greenhouse entirely on rainwater, making it the largest facility of its kind to do so, according to industry experts. Water would be collected on the roof and in a 10-acre pond on site. Some experts remain skeptical that it would work, given the size of App Harvest's operations, though they said it is technically feasible.
Who are the skeptics? I want to know, because I want to bring those people on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's have them on.
Well, a lot of people even in that world or even adjacent to that world that, that we know are skeptical of these people, which is saying something. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, what the fuck is wrong with just using the millions and millions of acres of arable land the North American continent has to actually grow food in a sustainable way? Like, this gets at the thing, though. Like, that would mean that you'd have to tackle Monsanto and the large agriculture corporate giants. And so, like, they're not going to do that, obviously. They'll just pour money into, like, greenhouse farms on strip mines in East Kentucky and in the desert in New Mexico.
Well, it's just like these guys that make their money in surety bonds here in Eastern Kentucky, and then they want to pop back up 20 years later when those are due and payable, and start throwing money out to say, "Hey, look what I'm doing here."
Yeah,
this is kind of what this is on a bigger scale. Like, this is not designed. I don't think anybody's persuaded this is really going to work.
right.
I think it's an experiment, and if it doesn't work, then it's like, okay, no harm, no foul. At least the optics are good. It looks like we tried to do something here.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, anyways, that's the end of the article. I mean, it goes on to like some other, statistics, and it talks about Eastern Kentucky and how broke and fucked up it is because of the coal industry and all this. But essentially, it's like free press for Mr. Webb.
Yeah, and speaking of free press for his ass, they've been trying to get on this, like, just transition. Like, they've been trying to weasel their way into this bleak just transition billboard, essentially, moving billboard. And it's probably been a year now. Someone from Kentucky for Kentucky emailed me asking me about them because they had hit up Kentucky for Kentucky wanting to, like, get them to run some campaign for them to make them look good. And I just sent out a big old Beckety big NO. Just shut that down immediately.
Well, Tanya, have you seen the video Terrence just sent me?
No.
You want to watch it? Let's watch it.
Let's watch it together.
Let's watch it, Tanya. All right.
It's a promo they made for themselves?
Yes. It's a promo for Jonathan Webb. All right, so
damn.
This is on Jonathan Webb's website. American entrepreneur, Kentucky proud. Kentucky native and University of Kentucky graduate, Jonathan Webb is turning his dream of a high-tech farming hub in Appalachia into reality with App Harvest. The company is building some of the largest indoor farms in the world, combining conventional agricultural techniques with today's technology. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, this is on his website.
Yes.
So this is him talking about himself in third person.
Oh, yeah.
I
absolutely.
love that.
Why locate in Appalachia? Like every Kentuckian, Jonathan grew up knowing of the devastating job losses in the region.
Wow.
It's such a hilarious way to, like, phrase it.
Well, duh. Duh. We all feel sorry for these poor hicks, don't you?
No, he didn't grow up knowing of the, exploitation of coal miners and their families,
Damn.
black lung disease. He grew up knowing of the devastating job losses.
Not the devastating
A true capitalist to his bone.
Yes.
resource extraction.
Exactly. His grandmother grew up in Whitley County, where a coal mining accident killed his great-grandfather. Great-grandfather. That means his great-grandfather. Give me a fucking break. Jonathan strives...
Everyone in this country can go back to someone who was either brought here in chains
or
died in labor.
Right,
died
exactly.
laboring to build this piece of garbage country.
Exactly.
Every single person here.
Exactly. With the exception of maybe, like, 8 families in Martha's Vineyard or something.
God damn.
Jonathan strives to work alongside the hardworking men and women of Eastern Kentucky and build an inclusive economy for the future. By locating within Appalachia, the company is also less than a day's drive to more than 2/3 of the U.S. population. That lowers transportation costs by 75%. Blah, blah,
I'd
blah.
just like to say Moorhead can only be loosely described as Appalachia. I mean, it is, but it's not like coal-producing Appalachia.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no way.
Oh, I wonder if he has anywhere in here explaining why he had to move from Pikeville to Moorhead, this operation. Because it was originally meant for Pikeville.
That is a good...
And let's see if that's in his fucking narrative.
Oh, that's right.
Why this started in Pikeville.
Yeah, but there's some sort of like beef with Pike County. Like, aren't they suing him or something, or vice versa?
I hope so.
Well, and they also had problems...
I'm not saying that as fact, but I think there's something like that here.
Well, and I think they also had problems with the site, like, because they were doing it on a strip mine.
You think? You think there's problems
they moved it-
growing food
they
for
moved
human
it-
consumption
Yeah.
on a desolate brownfield, you think?
They moved it to a little town on the periphery of Appalachia, but they're still calling it Appalachia.
So they could still have the valor, the investment. I would
Moorhead's
love...
literally just a hair under an hour from Lexington.
It's a college town.
Right.
Yeah.
It's literally built around a college.
right.
Uh-huh. I took a tour.
Without the college, it'd be a cow pasture.
I took a tour of Moorhead with our good buddy Rob Wisman on his Twitch stream.
I don't want you talking shit about my alma mater. Friends don't let friends go to EKU.
I'd say the same thing about Richmond. Without EKU, it's a cow pasture.
That's right.
Let's see. Well, let's see. He has zero farming experience. But he's researched another type of farming, the Netherlands and its high-tech greenhouses that in a single acre yield as much as 10 outdoor acres and virtually eliminate the use of chemicals.
Sorry, let me interrupt you here. I've clocked in tens of hours on my laptop. I have seen a better day.
I've Googled shit.
I want to see screenshots of his Google searches.
In February 2018, encouraged by investors, advisors, including hillbilly elegy author J.D. Vance and politicians of both parties, Jonathan left Washington and came home to Kentucky, where he now works tirelessly to make the eastern part of the state the ag tech capital of America.
I left Washington, where I was making us the bloodthirstiest army in the history of the world more green.
Look, dude, before we move on real quick, before we move on from Moorhead and his sort of attempts for Pikeville, there is a hilarious article on his website.
I want to see this guy's tax returns.
Let me find.
I know how ridiculous this sounds, but how much money is he making personally off of this?
If you want,
he's probably operating at a loss. He's got $97 million.
No, dude, there's a hilarious article on his website on that like plugs his work, and it's a link to Forbes. It says this is the headline.
Buckle up.
If you want to bootstrap your startup, do this one thing. All right, what do you think this one thing is? You have any guesses?
Relocate to Appalachia.
Kill yourself. Is it relocate to rural America?
Yes, it is. It is.
No.
Live in a cheap place to bootstrap your startup. Revitalize a community.
Fuck me. Forbes.
Fuck me in the ass.
Oh,
Startups
God.
are typically founded by innovative people who love to make a difference. Not only will building your startup in a small town benefit you and your wallet, but you could actually help revitalize the entire economy and create a huge presence for your business in the community.
Make money off poor people. Make money off. This is Kamala Harris's fucking loan forgiveness plan.
Yes, it really is.
This is so entrenched in their minds. These people are insane. These are bloodthirsty maniacs.
But the subtext here is also like a endless pool of cheap labor too.
Oh, absolutely. You can pay them as cheap as you fucking want.
Pay them nothing. Treat them terribly. Oh, fuck me.
Oh, fuck. Well, okay, so that's, if you want to bootstrap just remember, folks, if you're a startup guy, you want to bootstrap your business, revitalize the community. All right, so let's watch this video, shall we?
Don't make me. Do I have to?
You have to, Todd. You have to.
How long is it?
Oh, it's short.
Where's this
I
at?
was telling folks earlier today, I want to be a high school student in Eastern Kentucky right now.
Look how charismatic he is.
These cameras, these people, we're all here right now because of you all. And on Wednesday, we're launching an ag tech program here at Shelby Valley High School, all right?
The thing that
There's
I
J.D.
always
Vance.
believed, the thing that I was taught by several people in my life is that if I wanted to build a life, if I wanted to have a good family, if I wanted to be a happy family person, if I wanted to have a good job,
I want to be a happy
I had to
family
go somewhere
person.
else. But when I look back at this group here, I see a world-class nonprofit leader. I see athletes who are reinvesting in Eastern Kentucky. I see a fantastic business leader. I see a fantastic entrepreneur. And most of all, when I look out here, I see people who can build this region.
I love the music in these kind of videos.
They're walking through high school hallways in slow motion. That's what's happening in this video.
But we're sitting now on the precipice of a change in the economy again.
This guy's my favorite guy.
Just as we started with hunting and trapping and then moved to timber and then moved to coal, we're about to move again to high-tech industry.
Oh
that
my
high-tech industry is going to
God.
take a lot of forms.
Wait. I want to stop. Hold on. Just as we moved...
The only woman who's speaking has a tiara on. The only woman who's being allowed to speak in this video has
a
on a
tiara.
fucking
Miss
tiara
Kentucky.
and a sash. Is that Miss Kentucky?
Yeah.
Fuck me up. What the
Dude, so I guess, Tom, you probably can't hear this as we're watching it, but the funniest fucking part, the part that melted my fucking brain on my couch last night was when the guy says, just as we started in hunting and trapping and moved to timber and then moved to coal.
Yeah,
these were good movements. So we're so proud.
Yeah. He's describing an economy that literally just took place in the 19th century and never got out of that.
Right. Yeah, that's it. In my opinion, if we're going to jumpstart this economy, we need to go back to beaver pelts. Trapping and trading beaver pelts.
Also, I want to point out, this motherfucker, was that him, the first guy who spoke?
Yes.
This
the most charismatic guy on here.
I want to be a student in Eastern Kentucky right now.
Student in Eastern Kentucky.
Do you?
I bet you do, pal.
We invest more money in our prisoners in this state, and about 6 out of 10 students are being raised by someone who's not their parent. And, it's the stats are...
Homelessness and housing insecurity is through the roof for the first time in forever.
Yep. So this entire video takes place at Shelby Valley High School in Pike County. So they're selling high school students.
This is the equivalent of white people being like, I wish I were black, or I wish, you know what I mean? This is just like the most fucked up. I wish I were this really oppressed person because I see so much potential in your future.
You have more opportunity than ever before.
Unfucking believable.
All right, let's see.
All are capable of anything. It just takes hard work, dedication.
Look at that guy.
motivation.
Oh, that's that. What's
That's
that?
Brooke Smith.
That's that
who we
Brooke Smith
just-
guy.
That's who we
Brooke
just
Smith's there, yeah.
He's Brooke Smith's there. You know, and this
Fucking
is all.
old wet hair motherfucker.
Yeah,
Jared
this
Arnett.
is all. Jared Arnett's about to speak. The only woman given a mic is wearing a
It's
fucking
Tiara.
tiara. I cannot get past this. I can't
And had to
overcome.
win a beauty contest.
Yeah.
Doing nothing. We may make mistakes. We may not do the right thing every time.
Jared
but I
Arnett.
can
I'd love to
guarantee
be
you'll
alone in
never
a room
find
with that
us doing
motherfucker.
nothing. We're gonna fight the good fight.
Yes, we
You
will.
all are the creators.
God.
You're the innovators.
I wonder who of that brain trust came up with faith and grit.
You know it was his
Some of you
dumb
might
ass.
be involved with App Harvest.
Let's have faith in Brooke T. Smith and fucking Jonathan Webb, and then we'll get over the finish line with our grit.
We're gonna lead the region.
We're gonna lead. Okay, all right.
Brooke Smith was literally sitting on stage. This was all at a Source Summit. Am I right?
No, this is at a high school. These are high school students. They're giving this speech to high school students. Look at the photo. What? Imagine getting called out of class to go to this. I mean, honestly, it would kind of be pretty fun. But imagine how absolutely confused you'd be if you had to
The commentary
skip
from
third
these
period.
kids would be more entertaining than this video.
But what's interesting is how it shifted from when I was in school, the response to the opioid epidemic and all the problems and stuff that was going on was let's go to Bible club.
Yeah.
So we've moved on from that to technocratic solutions for our future employment prospects. So we've moved from let's get our souls saved to let's become profit creators for these rich assholes.
We've moved from let's get our soul saved to let's get our soul harvest.
That's right. Tanya, that's your business plan.
I need my rise and grind.
Yeah.
Dude, I also I cannot get past that this is like a pep rally for high school students, and everyone is a man in a suit. The stage is covered with men in suits telling this group of probably majority women that they can be anything they want to be, and the only woman who speaks has on a fucking tiara.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly right.
You boys can do all this cool stuff up here if you want to, and you ladies, you could win a beauty pageant.
I like how so there's a bunch of articles on his website that sort of extol his wonderfulness. And one of my favorites is this news article from CBS News.
Honest to God, I'm about to
says-
build a website for Sexy Sex Ed. I'm using this as the template.
Please
So
do.
I'm gonna mirror it all.
Tanya, you've got some good press hits, including the New York Magazine the other day.
Me?
Yeah, didn't you know that?
You were in the New
No.
York Magazine. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Who said that?
Yeah, you're in New York Magazine about spilling the tea.
No.
Who
I
wrote
swear.
it? Who wrote
Sarah
it?
Jones.
Sarah
Oh.
wrote about me?
Yeah,
Or like
well,
she
not
mentioned me?
she mentioned you by name, yeah, and us and the podcast. Y'all didn't see that? That was going around.
No.
Yeah.
You know I don't read.
Oh, that's something we didn't talk about. How that we were proven right on the Amy McGrath thing.
Bastards. 2 weeks early.
2 weeks early on that.
Listen to this headline: billionaire venture capitalist searching Middle America for next big idea. Like, I just like the idea of just this like
roving hordes of billionaires.
Roving
hordes of billionaires.
Like the judge in Blood Meridian, just this like ghoulish figure just casting his shadow over abandoned buildings and hussed out factories.
Saying to himself, real authentic people.
You have real authentic people here. We must harvest their souls.
There is a good sci-fi novel in all this. You can put it together.
There really is. That should be your next writing project.
Yeah.
Release the first chapter and get funding.
Oh, well, go fuck yourself,
Of course he was on TEDx Corbin.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a given. Me and Tom did an episode about that one, about TEDx Corbin.
Oh, amazing.
Are we the tearers down instead of the builders up?
We are. We tear down instead of build up.
Well, guess what? We've been torn down, okay?
Yeah.
We've been torn down from your Just Transition movement. We're the aftermath. That's what we are.
The funniest shit is we're probably the only legit entrepreneurs or whatever in this region that have done anything, and we're still sitting here saying this is bullshit.
That is true.
They really built something themselves. You know what I mean? Like
our podcast is literally more profitable. Look, okay, all right. If you are a fan of this podcast, please go out and tell your friends to subscribe to the Patreon. So we can show these just so we can have something on these motherfuckers and be like, well, we did build up while we tore down, you piece of shit. Just so we can have something on them.
Also because I owe everybody in the damn country.
Well, there's that too. Just so we can stave off the judge coming to our house who wants invest in harvest our souls. It is imperative that the area has economic diversification and attracts new investments from outside the state, Webb said.
This is the worst logo I've ever seen, also. That last article said, Appalachian Greenhouse may be hope for the region. Everything is like the hope for the region.
Oh my God. Look at these photos of him.
Fuck this guy. I really am going to use this website as a template for because I'm actually doing work, and this is all this is cosplay, all of it. This is theater. It's theatrics. Honestly, give him a fucking Tony. Give this man a Tony.
Well, I found a funny video. I probably can't find it now. I can't remember where I found it. I found a funny video of them like walking around on top of a strip mine, like him and Ramel Bradley, like walking around on top of a strip mine in Pike County, and like they've got these like long shots of like the foggy hollers and hills and stuff, and like Jonathan Webb is just like walking across the strip mine, like rubbing his stubble, his like stubbly face, like looking off into the distance, like we're gonna diversify this region. Like this is this historically backwards, impoverished place. Like,
yeah,
it's so fucking dumb, dude. Well, anyways, that's probably good on Jonathan.
I want you to close this out. I'm going to send you that song that's Ramel Bradley featuring Jonathan Webb to close this out with. I think it's called like New York, New York or something like that.
Please do. All right, let's call it a day. Please enjoy the fine stylings of Ramel Bradley featuring Jonathan Webb. And I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday, Tom.
Have a great week.
And have a great week.
I'll see y'all this week.
All right. Okay. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Stare at the city from the rooftop of my high rise. I'm optimistic on life and I fall with live rise. Debating whether I should plan for my future or try to make every moment matter. I know that time flies. I dreamed of being king of this whole island. So I'm planning and scheming. No island. The twists and turns. I love the thrill of this roller coaster ride called life. Kings Island. I'm from Brooklyn, so it's go hard to go home. But sometimes it be so hard to go home. When I see my grandmother feet be so swole, losing her vision, so them tears run down her face. And every time I see it, man, them tears run down my face. That's my grandma, I'm a grandson, I'm just trying to keep her safe. It's my year, so true. I hear the voices, fly smooth.
We could fly so high, let's just fly so high. Here we go now, let's get going now. We could fly so high, let's just fly so high. Here we go now, let's get going now.
I left for a new land all by my lonely. Graduated to a man, no ceremony. And the nights were lonely, but I know my mama praying for her one and only. The devil's on me, and still I be talking to my brother twin. Most times he sleeps and don't even think how his heart gon' be. So reckless, he don't even breathe for like 30 seconds. So I feel helpless, cause he can't help it, but he getting help now, and I pray you help him. Cause tomorrow's just a maybe. When I think I'm Connie, baby, and that drive me crazy, man. It ain't no ifs or maybes. I am focused, I ain't playing, I ain't shifting, I ain't swinging. I'm just trying to fight my way in. I feel the vibe, so true. I hear the voices, fly smooth.
We could fly so high, let's just fly so high. Here we go now, let's get going now. We could fly so high, let's just fly so high. Here we go now, let's get going now. Let's just fly high, let's just